Darkcast Network. Out of the shadows come the best indie podcasts.
There are over 200,000 unsolved homicides in the United States justice system right now. And many of those cases haven't seen the light of day in years, decades in some instances. The case files and evidence are sitting in a box on a dusty shelf in a basement, forgotten by law enforcement and the media, while the families and friends left behind wait for answers and fight for justice. Sometimes there is nobody left to remember or to speak up on behalf of the victim. I'm Arlene.
And I'm Leah. And that is exactly what Box in the Basement sets out to do. To shine a light on those forgotten victims and to bring attention to unsolved murders and disappearances. We want to help families tell their stories, and we want to assist the families and friends of victims find the resources and support they need to continue their fight for justice. Join us every Thursday for new episodes of Box in the Basement, wherever you find your podcasts.
Devil is on his way, devil is on his way, devil is on his way, motherfucker, the devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees, devil is on his way. Fall to your knees, devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees, devil is on his way. Motherfucker, he's on his
Hey y'all, welcome back to Mountain Murders.
I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
Yes, you are.
That's right.
How's it going today, Dylan?
Going great. How are you?
Well, I'm a little disappointed because we recorded a midweek episode and I have been unable to upload it. I'm having some sort of technical difficulty. I guess the file is corrupted. Like I said, it's very disappointing.
Yeah, and safe to say it was a fire episode.
You know, it was a banger.
It was likely possibly the greatest episode of Mountain Murders ever. So those have to take our word for it.
It was the greatest. We had Hugh Jackman,
Yeah.
the greatest showman on, and it was just amazing.
Yeah, we were really surprised he looked us up.
I'm kidding. I've never seen that movie.
He's a
Did
big
you watch
fan.
that movie?
I get it. The Greatest Showman. I get that confused with there's another one him and a guy are going back and forth, and they're both.
The Prestige?
Yes.
Is that the one?
Yes.
You know, I was thinking about that movie the other day. There's quite a few films from maybe 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago that were quite popular. And it's for the life of me, I know I've seen these films, maybe even more than once, but it's I cannot remember the plot at all.
I know.
Right? And that's one of them, The Prestige. And I feel like there was some other movie out around the same time that was maybe about a magician or something.
Yeah, they always come out in clumps.
They do.
You know, one studio is like, I heard.
Natural disasters are hot right now.
I heard they're making an asteroid movie. Let's make one.
Gosh, well, now they're just beating the comic book movies to death.
Gosh.
And the remakes. Everything's a remake.
And I was listening to this pod about that kind of. It's almost like they're afraid to, given the current entertainment climate, and you have kind of this saturation of used to only so many big shows and series came out, right? So it's almost like you got the best of the best to pick from, and now there's just so much stuff out there.
Full House.
And there I don't get it, the fact they'll spend $200 and some million on a movie to make a movie, and then another $200 and some million to market it. I just don't understand that. And then it's branded everywhere. It's on the Happy Meals. It's everywhere you turn. They
just keep tanking them too.
This recently happened with the Fantastic Four. I felt like it was everywhere. You couldn't get away from it. You're seeing it.
Did we need that?
Yeah, but then
was that necessary?
If they don't make $1.4 billion worldwide, they lose money. And so these big studios are afraid to take chances on original content.
Before this film, The Fantastic Four, I always want to call it The Fabulous Four. I don't know why.
It's fabulous.
I'd never even heard of the Fantastic Four in my life.
Well, it's just one of those. I mean, obviously, comic book fans are well aware of the Fantastic Four, but they've tried multiple times to make a movie, and it always seems to be weird and like mishandled. And maybe it's just, do they ever accept the fact maybe it's just people aren't that interested in it? You know what I mean?
No, it's like that girl. You can't explain to her that he's just not that into you.
Yeah.
These studio execs, they don't get it. They think he's still into them.
So they'll roll out these big tent pole, juggernaut productions that
I can't wait for my favorite superhero Chipmunk Girl to come out.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
They're very meh anymore, and I think
They
people are
are
just
very
over.
meh.
I mean, it's something I'll watch on like a rainy Saturday for free on one of, or through one of my streamers.
I'm really over the remakes. For example, there's a new film coming out called The Roses. And it's like a remake of The War of the Roses, and it has Benedict Cumberbatch
Yeah.
in it. And I don't need that because the original War of the Roses is fucking phenomenal. You cannot top Danny DeVito, Kathleen Turner, and Michael Douglas. I'm sorry. We don't need a remake.
You can't, and I don't even know why. So these companies are getting back to my point. They're afraid to take a chance on a $10 or $20 million, smaller budget movie that no one's ever heard of. And I just don't understand their thinking there because this other thing's not working. It's just not. And
It's all a money laundering operation anyway.
And people are just rude in public. They really ruin. I hate to carry on about it, but they ruin the movie experience.
The movie sucks.
It
now.
seems to happen now more than ever. And used to it was once out of 100 times you'll have some kind of an incident at the movies. Now it's once out of 100 times you enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
And you're not bothered by people just talking with their phones out. It's just, I don't know.
Toddlers at a horror film.
It's just, it's crazy.
I love it
I
when
don't know.
parents bring their toddlers to the midnight movie.
I just don't know.
I don't even know how we got off on this tangent.
I don't know either.
This is a true crime podcast.
I know, and we'll get to that. But I don't understand why you pay money to go see a movie and they want to sit there and fucking talk and not pay attention to the
Well, I
movie.
don't know why you'd pay money to listen to a podcast when all we do is sit around talking about movies.
Oh yeah, I was reading the AI, the AI's and the AI's version of what Mountain Murders podcast reviews are.
The AI summary.
Yeah, the summary. That's it. And Chit Chat was, some of the negatives that have been brought up by people before. So let's get on with it.
They don't want to hear you, Dylan.
They don't want to hear
Well,
me.
you know what? If they don't want to hear you, they can go listen to one of those dry-ass podcasts. And speaking of dry-ass podcasts, Dylan, we do not have a dry-ass podcast today. We're bringing you a wet-ass podcast.
Ooh.
We got that WAP for you.
That's that WAP with a C.
WAP.
Wet ass podcast.
Wet-ass podcast, that's right. But before we bring you today's WAP, I would like to say thank you to Lacey, our newest patron.
Lacey is responsible for all the
Directly responsible.
Yes, directly responsible for all the sexy stuff that's about to happen here in the Mountain Murder Studio.
Oh, yeah. So speaking of wet-ass podcasts, we have a tale that is chocked full of seduction, sex, amateur pornography,
And poles.
strip clubs, thongs, big old dicks,
Wow, really?
and murder.
Damn. Somebody get beat over the head with a big schlong?
And some more sex.
Damn, like extra sex?
There's a lot of sex in this episode.
There's leftover sex?
Maybe.
That'd be a good name for a band.
There could be sloppy seconds sex. I don't know. Perhaps. Anyway, like I said, it's a whop of an episode. Are you ready, Dylan?
Let's start, because I got to admit, I'm excited.
I bet you are.
I mean, really, I'm
Look,
tingling
look.
all over.
Calm down over there.
That's right.
Kimberly Renee Poole grew up in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Her parents, Jack and Marie, met in Daytona Beach, Florida back in 1974. Jack worked as a finishing carpenter. Do you know what exactly that is?
No, well, that's when you, because, before the walls and everything go up, the interior skeleton is all rough work. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Everything doesn't have to be perfect cuts, polished.
Sort of like when you're building a subfloor.
The subfloor and the subwall and all that's kind of
Okay.
rough. If you miss a nail or, if this cracks, it's not a huge deal.
It's not aesthetically pleasing.
No,
one
but you get
cares.
into the finishing carpenters. Now it's going to be all the really fine detail work
Oh, okay.
at the very end of a project.
Thank you for explaining that to me.
So you got to be very talented.
A year later, the couple was married and welcomed 2 little girls in quick succession. There was Brandy and then Renee, or Kimberly, but she was called Renee. In 1977, the family moved to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I think that is where Jack was originally from. I think that's where his family was.
Okay.
Right. Renee was described as an independent little girl. She was the feisty sister. Brandy was easygoing and quiet, and she didn't seem to mind that her younger sister Renee liked being the center of attention. Jack owned a paint and body shop, and Marie worked mostly in clerical positions. By 1990, the family had purchased land in Clemens, North Carolina, which is like a little small town, bit of a suburb of Winston-Salem. Not that Winston-Salem is huge, but I guess it could have a suburb.
A smaller place next to the small place.
That is it. Jack built a new body shop on this land and began construction on a log home. And I have to say, I saw some pictures of the log home. It was really lovely.
Well, isn't it funny what a couple of working stiffs could do back then?
Yeah.
Wow.
Although the family wasn't poor, Renee never felt like she fit in with the other students who seemed rich and privileged in comparison. She was often the butt of jokes and teasing because her family resided in a mobile home. She and Brandy were called, quote, white trailer trash.
We were discussing this just the other day. I think trailers, and like you said, maybe it's because we grew up sometimes living in trailers.
They're like Virginia Slims, baby. They've come a long way.
Well, they have come a long way, but I think they're cozy.
Oh, they're very cozy.
I think they tend to have good layouts as far as the flow of the home.
Well, there's really only one direction it can go.
And oftentimes you'll have the master bedroom and bath at one end, and then the however many other bedrooms on the other end. So you have separation for the parents, away from the children's rooms, which oftentimes you don't find in regular houses.
If you are lucky enough to have one of those double wides, usually comes with a garden tub.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Those were fancy back in the day. Since Renee was a small girl in stature and considered skinny, kids called her an Ethiopian, a beanpole, or a light pole. Bullies back in the 80s and 90s were not politically correct.
No, they were not politically correct, and they weren't very creative either. They tend to be fairly literal with their insults.
Yeah. Renee was insecure not only about where she lived, but who she was. To compensate, she began hanging out with the, quote, wrong crowd. I think we all know what the wrong crowd is.
We don't talk enough about the right
crowd.
The right crowd. It's friends that are successful and uplifting, who support you, who are going somewhere fast.
I feel like all my friends were like the right crowd, and I'm probably the least successful one out of the group.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm like the loser of the group.
I didn't meet you on the other side of the tracks.
You did. That's where I live, babe, in the gutter. To compensate, Renee began hanging out with the wrong crowd, as I mentioned. She felt like the rebellious crowd was where she belonged since other kids excluded her. And I think oftentimes the misfit kids maybe kind of flock to other misfit kids, right?
Well, yeah, you end up with that group of friends or acquaintances that know what it's like to be picked on or ostracized or marginalized in some way.
Trailer park kids.
And oftentimes it's a motley crew, right, of people very different from each other even, but they have like a common, they have common understandings, right?
Like smoking in the boys' room.
Yeah.
Most of her friends were from lower class families who lived in poor neighborhoods. One night she was spending, spending the night with a girlfriend who had an older brother. He smoked pot and offered Renee a toke. Feeling like she needed to fit in with him, Renee agreed. She had smoked cigarettes, but that was it. Being so high, Renee claims, she didn't know what was happening and ended up having sex with her friend's brother.
So you take a toke off of this old school, not that strong of weed nowadays compared to nowadays. Couple of tokes and you're just DTF, straight to humping.
Well, yeah, being so high, she had to have sex with her friend's brother. And although she didn't feel right about the experience, Renee thought she would get into trouble over the pot. So she just sort of let it happen.
Okay, so she's saying maybe she was kind of pressured into this, which is quite possible, right? Let's be honest.
Yes, but I will also mention, Dylan, we can't really rely on Renee as a good narrator of her story. She often tries to distance herself from things that she finds embarrassing.
Okay.
From her life or her past.
Right.
So we'll just keep that in mind. Afterwards, the boy would stop by her dad's shop when he wasn't there and call Renee to come outside and have sex with him. Since she didn't know how to tell him no, she complied. You just say no.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
That's how you say no.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if a boy had pulled up in my driveway and was like, yo, get out here and fuck me, I would have been like, no.
Well, I mean, maybe she's feeling some kind of I don't know. So, kids can be weird and they can get weird ideas in their heads. Like she's obligated or kind of doesn't know how to get out of the situation.
Or she could just maybe be a little slut.
Oh.
Which we'll get into.
It's a hot take.
Look, I know we're not supposed to slut shame people, but I'm going to probably slut shame Renee a little bit in this episode.
I can already tell that you don't have a very high opinion of Renee.
I don't.
No offense to our friend.
I don't have a high opinion of this particular Renee.
Right. I'm glad you made that known.
Well, by the end of the episode, I'm not sure you're going to have a high opinion of Renee. Soon, Renee became depressed and started skipping school. She began drinking, smoking pot, sneaking out, and meeting up with boys at the park to make out. Because I know when I'm feeling depressed, I also am feeling very sexy at that time. Makes sense.
It's true. Because like day 7 of not showering.
Yeah.
Hey, nothing makes me feel cuter and hotter than my legs sticking together.
Yeah. When my whole body aches for no reason because I'm in this like sad funk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I start getting
I'm just like, boy, I cannot wait. Okay.
When I start getting
You're not allowed to say itchy or sticky on this episode.
I wasn't even
you're banned.
I wasn't going to say sticky.
You're banned.
Even though sticky really works.
No, you're banned. You are not allowed to use those terms.
Once I start scratching,
we're
you
going
better
to expand
watch
your vocabulary a bit, Dylan.
No.
Also, I've never, in our 7 years of marriage, which, by the way, yesterday was our wedding anniversary, and I totally forgot to tell you happy anniversary.
Oh.
We always forget.
No, we knew it was coming.
Well, we did, but we just never know what.
Yeah, we went out the other night, went to a cool place with our Heather's son, my son. He's my son too. And he had a lot of fun, a big time, and there's a bunch of pretty young ladies around him.
We kind of celebrated
together and had a fun time, so yeah.
I didn't get to do the Cotton Eye Joe, but that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, we can say in a nutshell, it was a place where
it was country western bar.
I guess line dancing's becoming popular with the youth again.
Yeah, it was a country western bar.
Because
there's line dancing. There's doing some damn line dancing from hell out there. I tell you what.
But I've got to say,
floor was on fire with all the boot scooting.
It seemed a little different than the line dancing I've seen in my life.
Well,
does that make sense?
The Summies had no idea what was happening with their daughter and sort of, thought it was just like typical teenage rebellion behavior. This kind of happens with some young people, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's that. Everybody has that. Well, you know how teenagers are, kind of, idea about stuff.
You didn't really wild out as a teenager.
No, I just went from kid, preteen,
adult,
kind of a teenager, then adult. Yeah, I didn't have time to wild out.
But your older sister was kind of wild, wasn't she?
She was.
Just kind of run around doing shit she wasn't supposed to do.
Yeah, just out there. Well, I mean, it's
She
just
was out there in them streets.
It's a perfect example of you have a smart, beautiful, capable,
Very talented.
artistically and in many other ways, young lady, and she gets out there running around with people, and maybe not. She didn't have great supervision. Let's be honest, and you end up in these situations, adult situations,
With older boys.
where you're exposed and you're manipulated and you're pressured into whatever you want to guess or call it, and it can really it can ruin your life. I mean, or it can certainly affect you for the rest of your life. So that's why it's so important, I think, for people to really take a step back and try to not be emotional about it when you're a parent, and try to just look at things a little more objectively to make some decision. And I'm saying this to myself too. I didn't handle some situations as best as I could have if I'd have took a step back and really gave it some good thought instead of wanting to blame or punish or scold a child. There's a lot of times there's other reasons why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dylan. Well, they didn't like the bad grades. Most parents don't like when you bring home D's and F's. And new friends that she was hanging out with, but Renee staunchly defended her choices, saying that it was, quote, what the cool kids did.
See, that's where you can just do some Bugs Bunny psychology on kids. You could celebrate the D's and F's. Like, look at that. That's,
Have a party.
Yeah, have a party. Just
get
make
a
it
cake
like
that's like, we're so proud that you failed math.
and get on board with it. And they're wanting to rebel against everything you say. Next thing you know, they're making A's and B's to prove you wrong.
To hell with algebra, yes. She didn't want to be a nerd. This is according to Renee. Concerned their daughter rarely studied and failed tests, her parents administered different types of discipline, but none seemed effective. Renee would promise to make changes, but never did. It can be difficult for parents to get a grip on out-of-control behavior. Teenagers are going through hormonal changes as well as neurological and emotional ones that can make them more impulsive and less receptive to authority. The more parents try to control, the more teens resist. I think we've probably all heard that before. Often peer influence outweighs parental guidance. And like many parents before, the Summies ran out of ideas. Renee did what she wanted to do, and Renee defended her choices. She didn't really see herself as a bad girl. She was like, well, younger girls at school are having sex and doing drugs, and Renee felt more responsible because she was only having sex with boys she dated, even though she's like 12, 13, 14.
But she's in a committed relationship, right? They're trying to build a future together.
I guess, yeah. When Renee was 14 and a student at R.J. Reynolds High School, she met Brent Poole. He was 3 years older. One day, Renee and some friends needed a ride after school, and Brent offered to take them home. She was instantly smitten with the 17-year-old. She thought he was more mature than most high school boys. Brent came from a good family. He was close with his siblings and enjoyed all things mechanical, motorcycles, cars, trucks. He liked to tinker. It reminded Renee of her own family. After this ride home, Brent found Renee the next day and asked her out on a date. Their relationship was filled with passion and lust. I mean, as much as it can be when you're 14, right?
It's very strange to me to have a full-blown sexual relationship at that age.
Well, it's pretty crazy to me that an adult who is telling her story would describe her 14-year-old sex life in this way.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
So again, Renee, you're kind of a hoe.
Well,
you got some really fucked up ideas about sex and what's normal at 14.
Well, at that age, I really don't think a sexual component should be in there at all. I mean, say for a little, maybe heavy petting or something. I don't know.
At 14? See, I still think that's a little...
I would have never.
That's a base too far, Dylan.
Or holding hands, maybe a peck on the cheek. Is that where you think it's appropriate?
Yeah, I mean, maybe maybe you French kiss or something, right?
Oh gosh, and that's like that's going hardcore, right?
Yeah. Their relationship, again, was described by Renee as being filled with passion and lust. The teens couldn't keep their hands off one another. It only took a week of dating before they had sex.
Which, I mean,
Because you're in love. That's the way it should be. Right? Though Renee was experienced at 14, Brent was a virgin. After the first time, she convinced Brent that he was her soulmate. Because, she's 14, and you certainly know these things deep in your soul when you're 14.
Well, you can feel it. Feel it in your womb lands.
You can feel something. I'm not sure it's authentic love through sickness and health kind of love. I think it's more like my hormones are raging and I just can't wait for you to touch my boobies.
Right.
Sex became a large component of their relationship, and they, quote, did it every chance they got, according to Renee. After school, they would hook up in the cab of his pickup truck. When that wasn't comfortable, Brent put carpet in the bed, and they would climb back there. Brent started renting a room at the Innkeeper Motel on Peters Creek Parkway in Winston-Salem, and that's where they kind of, I guess, kept the romance going. Because she was getting carpet burns.
Yeah. That doesn't sound very comfortable, I gotta say. Piece of carpet in a metal truck bed.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're going to get some friction.
Yeah.
Right. Renee soon ditched her friends. She focused her attention exclusively on Brent. He was all that she needed. And after Brent graduated, he went to diesel school in Tennessee, learning how to become a diesel mechanic. Lots of money in that. With her boyfriend no longer at the high school, Renee saw no point in going, so she dropped out during the sophomore year. She had also had trouble with the administrators at the school after using the N-word, because she's endlessly classy, and was expelled. Her father dragged her back to school and forced Renee to make an apology when he found out what she had said.
I'm sorry I dropped a hard R, but you guys know I've been lusting after my boyfriend. And now he's gone.
Falling on hard times.
He's out that diesel school.
And I'm just here in the 10th grade.
And
learning about some U.S. history.
What can I say to make you accept me back into your school?
Since she was 14 years old, Renee had worked in the cosmetics department at a local drugstore. Living at home without bills, she spent most of her money buying Brent presents. They kept in regular contact with phone calls and letter writing. He came home every other weekend. One day, Brent made a startling confession. He told Renee that he had reached out to an ex-girlfriend who was living in Tennessee. They had reconnected. She'd needed a ride back home to North Carolina and had given him oral sex in exchange for the ride.
Oh, my God. In that cab of that truck where we spent so many sweet moments.
Making love.
In the parking lot of the high school.
Yes. How could you? Renee was furious. She ended up staying in Tennessee with him for several months. Then she discovered another woman had his leather jacket. Brent explained this by saying he had met her while she was selling magazines, that this girl needed a ride to the hospital, and that's why she had his coat.
He needs to quit giving chicks rides. Because it keeps leading to like this very soulful, deep connection.
Can't help it. He's a pickup man.
Yeah.
Like a lot of young love, the couple had many ups and downs, you could say.
Every pun intended.
Yes.
Can I give you a ride later, Heather?
Yes, I don't like to drive.
She prefers not to drive.
I will certainly count on you for that. Renee did not get along with Brent's mother. His parents had caught them having sex after prom, and since that moment, his mother had disapproved of Renee. Sometimes after dates, he would make Renee go home and change clothing before visiting his family.
Damn.
Well, she was, he felt like she was dressing maybe a little revealing.
Oh.
And, his parents were not so hip with that.
They're a little more conservative.
They definitely are. I mean, they're a very Christian family. They go to church regularly. His dad's a deacon. So yeah, that didn't really fly with them. Then one day, Brent showed up at Renee's house when she was sick with a cold. He had brought a single yellow rose and bent down on one knee. The proposal was exciting, and Renee couldn't wait to put the diamond ring on her finger. Since they were engaged, planning to be married, they stopped using birth control.
Oh, yeah, because nothing helps a young couple's life like a baby.
Yeah. It didn't take long before spring of 1995 that Renee learned she was pregnant. She was barely 17 years old, and Brent was 20. She's only 17, but she's pregnant like you ain't never seen.
With a pickup baby. Like you see the Cadillac truck? That's where we made you.
It's funny. I had a friend when I was...
Name you Chevy.
I had this friend when I was young, and his name was Ira, and he was really hilarious. And we would pass by like any shitty car, and he would point and be like, "That's the car you were conceived in."
Nice.
Yeah. Brent had secured a good job working in sales at Mack Truck in Kernersville, and he was also working as a diesel mechanic and kind of doing that, I guess you could say, freelance on the side. So, I mean, he was bringing in pretty good money for a 20-year-old.
Right.
Renee had gotten a job at Home Depot, and the couple knew if they needed help, they both had solid family support. Renee couldn't follow the rules at her house. She ended up moving in with a friend, and after a couple of days, her mother Marie packed up all of Renee's belongings and left them on the porch outside.
Damn.
Well, you want to be grown, you can be grown, right?
She's like, "I ain't wearing clothes, Mama. I like being naked."
We'll get to that part in a minute. Renee moved her stuff into the friend's house, and the friend's sister was working as an exotic dancer at a club in Winston-Salem. This older sister was making, lots of money, and soon Renee's friend started working there too. When the Summies learned about this, they worried that Renee would think this was acceptable, and she would want to work there.
Was a place called the Cherry Bomb?
Silver Fox.
Oh.
The Silver Fox Gentlemen's Club.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I think the Cherry Bomb would be a better name for it.
I think the Moldy Unicorn would be a great name for a strip club.
No.
There was one in Johnson City called Fuzzy Holes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not the Moldy Unicorn?
What is... I don't even know what you mean. I mean,
Well, I don't know what I mean either. I just think it sounds nice.
Rolls off the tongue.
Moldy Unicorn.
Come on down to Fuzzy Holes. We got a buy one, get one special.
Yeah. Come on down to the Moldy Unicorn. $60 table dances.
Where fantasies are born.
Yeah, exactly. Brent's mother was deeply religious and would not like the idea that her grandchild was born out of wedlock. So while the Summies were understanding of the situation, they didn't really press Renee to get married. They were kind of like, well, you're an adult. You're making an adult decision. You can kind of do what you want as far as be a single mom or get married kind of thing. Brent had been right, though. His parents were upset about the pregnancy, but they did warm up in time. His mother insisted they get married quickly to save face at church.
Right.
She did not want her church friends gossiping.
She didn't want the tongues a wagging, talking about, can you believe what her son's been a-doing? Talking about, I seen him doing it out in the dollar store parking lot.
They was down at the high school.
I ain't got no shame. That girl won't wear clothes.
On June 9th of 1995, the couple wed at the Summey home in Clemens, North Carolina. Friends helped prepare food and refreshments. It was a small, informal gathering, but the couple appeared to be happy. They honeymooned in Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
Hey, that's back when Gatlinburg was popping.
6 months later, they welcomed a daughter, Katie Lynn, to their family. Brent's brother and sister-in-law were at the hospital around the same time delivering a daughter. So the Pooles were soaking up the fact that they had these two granddaughters born within like 15 hours of each other.
Oh,
which
wow.
is kind of cool, right?
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Born, I guess, the same day.
Cousins can grow up together.
Yeah, I mean...
And tell everybody we was born on the same day.
Well, yeah, I think for a lot of us who grew up in kind of large families, cousins were like brothers and sisters. They were like your siblings when you were growing up. One day, Agnes Poole entered into Renee's room at the hospital and was quickly surprised to find a strange med by her bedside. At her bedside. This dude he's just there.
Just hanging out?
Yeah. But then he left pretty instantly, pretty soon after the mother-in-law showed up. Renee explained that he was her friend and coworker at the Home Depot. He happened to be at the hospital, so he thought he would stop by and visit.
Okay. Well, maybe that's real.
Renee told her mother-in-law, quote, "You'll need to call ahead before you make a surprise visit to my room next time."
Well, that doesn't seem suspicious at all. So you're really going to say that after there was just some dude that she had no idea who it was, never seen before, who kind of awkwardly, quickly leaves when she comes? I mean, that seems pretty suspicious, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if she's coming, he should at least stick around for that, right?
Well, you should never come and go.
It didn't take long for Brent and Renee to consider exotic dancing as a great way for her to earn money. Brent encouraged his wife and thought it was kind of awesome. Her friends were making all this, cash, big dollars. And Renee would only need to work a couple of nights a week. Plus, I should mention, they've bought a home. They now have a baby. I believe Brent has a brand new truck. So they've got a lot of bills.
Right.
And even though he's, bringing in money, they're finding that it goes out just as quickly. And Renee will later claim that Brent was struggling to pay bills, that he often bounced checks, forgot to pay his truck payment, and that his mom would cover some of the bills for them. So they're definitely having a hard time with money. And pretty quickly after their daughter's born, they refinanced their home. So it sounds like they did have some financial issues.
Maybe it just had a great rate.
Well, no, Dylan, they had financial issues.
Okay.
So, Brent, now that she's had this baby, is kind of like, maybe you could go shake it on the stage.
Well, I mean, you're already dressed for it because you ain't got no clothes on.
Oh, she's wearing some clothes, Dylan. I'm just not sure it was a lot of clothes. Brent and Renee, despite being newlyweds and new parents, had problems of their own. Since the birth of Katie, now this is according to Renee, since their daughter was born, Brent didn't seem sexually interested in his wife. Now, I've heard other people, I will say, that have had similar issues in their relationship. So I don't think it's entirely out of the ordinary, but I could see where it's definitely a problem.
It's not. And now, sometimes it gets kind of lost in the sauce is even though the woman obviously carries the baby and her body changes and carries the brunt of all that, it's still a thing. The whole ordeal of pregnancy and childbirthing, it still affects a man in many different ways. Sometimes a man now views, which I think is not a good way to do it, but sometimes now they view their girl, who they were all sexy hot for, as a mother now. And like in this more wholesome picture, like it kind of weirds them out to do maybe the kinky stuff or the wild stuff they used to. I don't know. Some people have an issue with that. Oh, you kissed my kid with that mouth, or whatever. Or they're just dealing with this big change in your life and in your relationship.
Well, let's be honest. A baby does not leave a lot of room for intimacy.
No.
You're spending a lot of time taking care of a child.
They
You're
eat every day.
Exhausted. It's hard work.
Right.
Especially for the parent, Renee, who's staying at home with the baby, 24 hours a day. And Brent's working 13-hour shifts, 13-hour shifts. He's not home a lot. And I'm sure when he gets home, he's exhausted and then probably wants to spend some time with their daughter as well. So by the time, evening time rolls around, the muffin shop is closed.
Yeah.
Right?
But yeah, it's a real big change for a relationship.
Well, according to Renee, he developed an addiction to pornography. He worked second shift, so they didn't see a lot of each other. And while Renee spent time with their baby, Brent seemed more interested in hanging out with his friends, riding four-wheelers, and watching porn. And I should mention this really intensified when they got a home computer.
Oh.
Yeah, because it's the late 90s. Got to get that desktop. Brent had always liked pornography. Renee knew he had kept a stash in his bedroom before they were married. But the lack of intimacy took its toll on Renee, so she told herself she would find someone who wanted to please her.
Okay.
She wanted to apply at Silver Fox Gentlemen's Club in Winston-Salem. So now she's come around to the idea of becoming an exotic dancer.
She's going to shake her tail feathers.
Renee, who had always been interested in makeup, decided she needed this new makeover, something sultry, sexy. She wanted a new wardrobe. Afterwards, Renee claims strangers would stop her on the street to say that she looked like Ashley Judd or Alyssa Milano. Oh, and another comparison was Jennifer Love Hewitt. And can I just say that...
Look, I'm going to stop her.
She does not, by the way. No.
Look, we watched a little bit about this, and I saw actual pictures and stuff. She doesn't look like any of the three people you just mentioned, even close at all.
No.
And Jennifer Love Hewitt, there's nothing about that girl's face or body that says Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Okay, calm down over there. Yeah. I get it. Okay. Stop.
I'm just
Stop.
kidding.
Gross.
What?
You know. Dylan, you better put that little horse back in the stable. I forgot where I was. Now, at first, so you got me all distracted over here. At first, Brent was all about the earnings, but soon he noticed his wife's new looks and became infatuated with her once again. He urged Renee to wear these sexy clothes. He really loved low-cut jeans and crop tops so he could see her stomach. He liked short skirts, these little mini dresses. The dancing seemed to liven up their sex life. She also enjoyed the attention that other men paid to her, and some of the women paid her attention too, so she was into that. Renee then started experimenting with lesbianism.
Oh, wow. It's like she did a line of lesbian.
Look,
She's experimenting with lesbians.
I have to tell you the story. So when I was growing up, my mom had this long-term partner. They were together for like 14 years, very long time. So most of my childhood, adolescence, even into my early adult years. And he worked for the Postal Service. And he would always tell us these stories about this guy that he worked with that could never, I guess, quite pronounce things correctly.
Yeah, he's mushmouth.
Yeah. And he would talk about them Lisbons. And at first, Wes was like, what? And then he realized the guy was talking about lesbians, but he'd like, I like them Lisbons, all right.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. And so he was like, you like the capital of Portugal? Like, what are you talking about? But it was Lisbons. It was lesbians. He also liked it when they wore them tongs.
The tongs?
The tongs.
I worked with a guy like that. There's a lot of good times and laughing at being around someone who just doesn't even
says whatever.
Yeah, says whatever and mispronounces most of the words.
Yeah, I get a kick out of hanging out with you. It's really fun. So here we got Renee. You know, she's meeting the ladies. They are into her. She's into them. And Brent was really turned on by this and did not have any issues with Renee bringing girls home.
Okay, so for the moment, it seems that, they've reignited their passion for one another, kind of bringing the sexy back, right?
Reignited that flame.
Yeah, so it's working. Her change and looks and wardrobe, and he's back into her. So I would imagine that they're happier now.
Yeah, and he's digging Renee's new sexual experimentation, I guess you could say.
Yeah, but that's slippery slope, I'll say. And nothing about being lesbian or anything. It's just when you're having these emotional connections with someone outside of your relationship.
Well, maybe being a lesbian is a slippery slope. I don't know.
It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman, but these can usually lead to problems. It really does.
Brent never participated. It wasn't like he was having threesomes. When she would bring women over, they would retreat to the bedroom and Brent would sleep on the couch. But then the next day, he wanted to hear all the details.
Oh.
Like, tell me everything.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, that's your thing.
It's his life, I guess. He's a cuck.
Let your freak flag fly.
He's just in the kitchen sitting in a chair.
Some people like it. That's
Yeah.
why they got all them chairs in hotel rooms.
Yeah, I guess so.
So he can watch. Brent and Renee befriended another couple who worked at the club, another dancer and a bartender. And after a while, they kind of agreed to a partner swap. Renee was surprised to find out that her lover for the evening had recorded their interlude.
Oh, well, that's inappropriate to not let her know that I'm want to record this. So, yeah, that's not right.
Oh, I didn't know that camera set up in the corner is on. I mean, that's like literally what she says.
Oh, so there's the big old school VHS.
Well, yeah, baby. This
or
is not the this
video
is
recording.
Not,
yeah.
They don't have an iPhone set up.
So it's on this huge tripod. Everything's
yes,
big.
no, for real.
Bright red light.
Yeah, and then she acts like, "Oh, I didn't realize he was recording."
Oh.
I'm not sure she's the sharpest tool in the shed. When Jack and Marie learned that Renee was dancing, they were not thrilled. Marie phoned Agnes Poole, Brent's mother, to ask, "Do you know what your son has my daughter doing?"
Like he's pimping her out.
Agnes was mortified. Her husband Bill was a deacon at their church. They didn't want word to get out. And then the worst happened. There was a news segment filmed at the club, and people recognized Renee.
No way.
In the background.
Oh,
so
my
of
gosh.
course, they're coming up to Agnes and Bill, like, what's going on?
And I'm going to imagine if this place is on the news, it's some kind of a controversy, right?
I don't really know. It could have just been like,
It was in the background or something.
hey, we have a new strip club. I don't know. I
Well,
don't know what the angle was.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just given the year, given that even to this day, North Carolina has kind of a funny relationship with gentlemen's clubs, you know?
Yes.
They have restrictions, they, wear pasties or I don't know, but they've always been kind of uptight when it comes to things like that. So I think it's quite possible it could have been the place being perceived in a negative light, and then boom, there's Renee coming out the front door.
Jack was angry with Renee and refused to speak to her as long as she was working at the strip club. So her daddy is not happy about this. Her daddy big mad.
And we ain't going to talk about it.
Eventually, she bowed to pressure and quit dancing. The newfound passion in her marriage waned. It was in March of 1998, during a dinner with friends, that Renee was introduced to John Frazier. He was a computer technician and part-time DJ at the strip club.
I could do that job.
Could you?
Yeah.
Because you have such an extensive knowledge of music, or?
What? Oh, dude, they give you the songs they want to dance to. I mean, come on.
Well, it's all automated now.
Yeah.
They don't even have DJs.
No, they just need me to be the guy like, get your dollar bills ready.
It's automated with a computer program.
Renee's coming to the stage.
And the club that I worked at, not as a dancer, but as a bartender, right?
Very briefly.
Nobody wants to look at this. I learned that it's automated, and they don't actually honor like requests, like whatever the dancer suggests or says, like, hey, I like 9 Inch Nails or P. Diddy or whatever. They typically will just kind of plug songs in the system that are in that genre, I suppose.
Oh, okay. That sounds lame.
So if you want to dance to Puff Daddy singing I'll Be Missing You for Biggie, I don't know if you're going to get that.
I would sing to Missy Elliott's Get Your Freak On.
You would sing to that?
I mean, I would dance to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good choice, I suppose.
That's right. I'd make it good.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I could dance to anything.
I bet you can.
I can. I would do AC/DC's Big Balls. That'd be my go-to.
I've performed that as a burlesque performer
Right.
to big balls. You know, Dylan, one of the strangest music selections I've heard at a strip club, there was an older lady, a mature woman, if you will,
Right.
a MILF,
Yeah.
right?
Why not?
I think she was in her 50s, early 50s, that drove down from Johnson City. She had danced at Fuzzy Holes, and she would drive to Asheville and dance like kind of randomly, like here and there. And she would always play country, but it was like Hank Jr.
Okay.
Yeah. Like all her rowdy friends are coming over tonight. And
Ah,
I don't know.
over her.
I just thought that was kind of an odd, just the honky tonk sounds. You're going to strip to Merle Haggard's. Okay.
Hey, it's different, and that's why she's regionally famous and drives around, you know? I mean, that's why she has open slots.
She travels. They exchanged numbers and agreed to see each other again. So Renee and this guy, John, I mean, they really hit it off. Soon Renee went back to work at the club. John was now her new boyfriend. So even though she's married, she's dating John. He's at the club. They're hanging out. She was the fourth dancer that he had dated. He tended to, I guess, like these dancers. His mother would say in a documentary I watched today that he kind of almost felt like they were strays. Like he would take them in to help them.
Okay.
Kind of thing. Which I thought was kind of a weird way to describe it, but he has a big old heart. He wants to help these girls.
Help them off with their clothes.
Yeah. He wants to help them onto his penis.
Now, see, this is what I'm talking about. When you start, and I'm sure there's some people, maybe even some of our listeners right now listening, who have had successful, non-traditional, open relationships.
Polyamorous relationships.
Yeah. And that good. You know, I'm glad for you. I'm certainly no...
You're not cut out for that.
I'm no prude. You know, I don't hate on someone just because it's different or anything like that. But I think oftentimes, or sometimes, let me say, that this can lead to a situation like this, because I think people who aren't truly emotionally ready or wired to have a relationship and everything work out, which those people do exist. I think once people reach this stage in a relationship, that they're kind of over their previous relationship, kind of looking for a way out, if you will.
You mean like they're kind of tired with their current situation and looking? Is that what you mean? I'm confused.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I think this is a good sign of you're drifting apart and your relationship's not very healthy.
Well, in my opinion,
possibly.
You and your partner, if you agree to something like this, I think they would have to be very secure in their relationship to be okay with that and not have like jealousy or, those kinds of feelings. You have to be really secure in what you have.
And the few couples I've seen like this in my life growing up in my 47 years, wow. One of the partners, one of the people are more into it than the other one.
You think so?
And the other person's saying they're into it, but you can just tell they're not that into this situation.
Oh, I don't know. I've met some people and all parties seemed pretty into it.
Right. Well, yeah.
So you can't really generalize. Maybe.
We
don't know. We're not involved.
That's why I said some.
We're not cut out for that. We've agreed. It's not for us.
Well, no.
But, more power to you. Right?
I would like to have 3 or 4
the more the merrier.
Adult incomes come into a home.
Well, there's that. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to have a wife here.
Yeah.
And maybe another husband.
Really? Hold on.
Well, like a husband who's mechanically inclined, who can change the oil and like take care of auto maintenance and doesn't mind to do chores around the house, that like looks forward to it.
I do
like
chores.
Wakes up on Saturday and can't wait to mow the grass, and like when I suggest like we should put up Christmas decorations, it's not like, actually it's like, yeah, let's do it, and goes out with his little tools and hangs them up.
Oh yeah. Well, where are you gonna meet this guy?
Or if something's broken, he doesn't mind to fix it.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, then you should put an ad in the paper for a wife or, extra wife or husband.
Well, and you could get a wife around here who's more domestic than me and doesn't bitch at you constantly. Right?
Yeah, I like it.
So that'd be nice.
You know what? I love you, and there's no one else that will ever have a place in my heart. It don't matter how much they want to be domestic and,
Listen, fucker.
diminutive.
I'm the only one that can keep your ass in line.
That's right.
Right? So it was around this time that friends and coworkers kind of began noticing more and more how Renee spoke very ill of her marriage to Brent. She complained to anyone who would listen. Renee brought Katie along when she had dates with John. She would take her daughter over to this guy's house to hang out and watch Disney movies, go to the park together.
Their daughter?
Yeah, the 2-year-old.
No. And I heard an old timer one time, and I really think this is true. In the workplace setting, especially, you should never talk negatively about your spouse. And it's one thing to share amongst, maybe a...
Yeah, you should just get a podcast and announce it to everyone.
Well, no, but this is how a lot of times that these emotional relationships and things start amongst coworkers, because
absolutely.
I think it's inappropriate. Now, it's one thing to have a close friend, if you will, that you're letting them know, hey, I'm dealing with this or that at home. But just in the kind of public...
Oh, no, I've seen it play out with my own 2 eyes. Coworker, he's having marital problems.
Yep.
Kind of starts flirting with the friend in the office, the female friend. We all start kind of hanging out as a group. Next thing you know, they're kind of coupling up a little bit. Sooner than later, he's left his wife and then is in a relationship with this friend.
Damn.
I've seen it.
That's how it goes.
I watched it. Happens. So anyway, Renee's just constantly talking shit about her husband. She's bringing her daughter on these dates, which seems incredibly inappropriate to me. And to really jazz up the situation, Renee had another dancer's lips tattooed on her neck. Her mouth lips, in case that needs clarification.
Okay. I mean...
Her mouth lips, Dylan.
So now she has a neck tattoo.
Of this woman's mouth lips. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Of her upper lips. Let's just call it that.
Her mouth lips.
All right. So Renee is getting... one thing I will say, she's getting very classy. These are some classy moves.
She continues to really make choice decisions here. For 3 days in May of 1998, Renee moved into John's home. Like, her husband came home from work and she'd packed everything up, including furniture, and basically leaves him a dear John. She was overheard on the telephone at the strip club arguing with her husband after this. She would tell him how much she hated him and that she was not coming home. Another person witnessed Renee chewing Brent out at the club, telling him, "I hate you, I wish you were dead, and I hope I never see you again."
Oh, gosh.
Renee quit the club shortly after, and she ended up going back to Brent.
Did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their marriage had reached a crossroads. They had to decide whether they would change lifestyles and rededicate themselves to the marriage or end it. During the turmoil, being torn between 2 men, Renee claims she tried to take her own life by cutting her wrist with a paring knife. When her lover John saw the blood, he told Renee she didn't have the balls to do it.
Wow. See, this is a really great guy that you've kind of brought into your relationship with your husband, right?
He really loves her. At home with her family one night, Renee took a handful of Valium and had to be rushed to the emergency room. Later, Renee will state that the purpose of this affair with John was to get her husband's attention. However, she had had multiple affairs, other affairs. As a matter of fact, one of her former lovers from Home Depot that she had been in a relationship for 2 years before she had married Brent, and then even after they were married, while she was pregnant with their daughter, his name was Danny.
Damn.
Danny sent the Pooles a sex tape of Renee.
Danny worked in
So
the...
he mailed this tape to her in-laws.
Oh, my God.
And by the way, there are multiple sex tapes.
Damn.
But, you know, Renee never knows that anybody's recording.
And Danny worked in the wood aisle, just to be clear.
Okay.
That's right.
The wood aisle. All right. He's going to sell you a 2x4. Renee and Brent wanted to make their marriage work. In June of 1998, the couple took their 3-year-old daughter to Myrtle Beach for a weekend getaway. Now, this is also their 3rd wedding anniversary.
Damn, all this has happened in 3 years?
Yeah. Brent borrowed $300 from his parents, and they were happy to kind of, I guess, give this gift to the couple. Like, go renew your love for each other.
Right.
Rededicate to your family.
See if you can get her to stop stripping and living with other men. That's going to be really a turning point in your relationship. And I got to say, this is back in the heyday of Myrtle. This was a big deal.
Yeah.
Nice place. Very happy place to go with kids, family, whatever. So they're going to Myrtle Beach to have a big time and to kind of
they did.
To re-virginate their relationship.
They played putt-putt. They ate at Dick's Last Resort. So they were having a big weekend, Dylan.
Is that the one where they insult you?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it's been around that long.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember going there when I was in like high school and in my like 98. I remember going there. They put these like paper bags on your head that kind of look like condoms and then write phrases.
Looks like a dunce cap.
Yeah, my phrase was the curtains don't match the carpet.
Okay.
And on my best friend, they wrote squeeze my hairy boobs for 50 cents. And on my other friend's head, I miss prison sex.
Damn.
Yeah.
Dix goes hard.
It was yeah. I still remember that after all these years. On June 9th, the couple had gotten a babysitter so that they could spend some alone time together on this vacation. During a moonlight walk on the beach, Brent proposed that the couple make love in the dunes. You want to make love in the dunes? You get sand in your crack?
Dude, that sand's going to be everywhere.
The little crab crawl up, bite you?
I don't want to make love in the sand dunes.
I don't.
Do you?
No. I don't want to roll around in the sand. That sounds like you could chafe.
Oh, there's definitely going to be some swamp ass. You could get sand fleas. I hate for you to get sand fleas all over you. They don't like you.
Oh no, I have a very extreme allergic reaction to sand fleas.
Apparently.
Yeah, my foot was like swollen and yeah. Afterwards, they walked back toward the Carolina Winds Resort Hotel, which is located on 76th Avenue. It was only about 5 blocks away, like where they were at making the loves in the dunes.
So they just went on it sounds like they just stepped out, took off walking kind of thing.
Well, they'd gone out to
hit the
dinner,
beach.
had some drinks, had come back to the beach, walking along the beach, decided they wanted to show each other some affection.
Make sweet, sweet love.
Yes.
Out by the trash cans.
Just like Pop. Make sweet, sweet love, Dylan.
So they're heading back.
Right. And if you've ever been, well, I would say it's probably like most beaches, but if you've ever been to Myrtle Beach, once you get back from the ocean, the sand, and kind of up the dunes, there are like these little sort of narrowish, some of them might be a little wider pathways that are sandy that take you to like the parking lot. And
Okay.
sometimes there are like a little footbridge.
Right.
Like a little wooden, dock or something you kind of climb over. But it sounds like they were just kind of walking between dunes on one of those sandy little paths to get back to the hotel. And again, it's only 5 blocks away. Now, as they walk along this little sandy path back to the sidewalk, the couple discuss their daughter's big day at the beach. She's a little toddler, so she was having a ball. You take a little kid to the beach, it's like the cutest thing ever.
It is.
It really is. They noticed a man walking in their direction. He was wearing black pants and a black long sleeve sweatshirt, which was odd considering, it's like 90 degrees out here. He was about 20 yards to the right near a hurricane fence. Brent noticed the man had turned around and seemed to be kind of following them. Alarmed by the stranger's attire, Brent walked faster and told his wife not to look back. He said, quote, "Don't give him any opportunity to stop us." The man, over 6 feet tall, had a big body and a large head. Somehow, this big man managed to get ahead of them on this path.
Damn, he's like Michael Myers.
Well, I was thinking he's like you. He's over 6 feet tall. You're
Yeah.
right at 6.
It's a big guy.
He's got a big body and a large head. Are you sure you weren't at Myrtle Beach during this time?
No.
Okay. So somehow this guy manages to get ahead of them. I don't know if he's like leaping over a sand dune or what. Okay, but he gets ahead of them on this path. And by now, he's wearing a black ski mask.
Oh, my God.
The stranger raised a semi-automatic 9mm pistol and pointed it at the Pooles. He yelled, "Get down on the ground."
Damn.
Very scary.
How scary would that be?
Very scary. Before Brent could speak, the assailant lunged and tackled him to the ground. Brent fell backward. The burly man had slammed him down pretty hard. And I should have mentioned, Brent's like a little feller. So this guy just kind of throws him down, roughing him up. The man ordered Renee to get down on the ground too and place her feet against her husband's feet. So I'm imagining they're lying straight with their feet together. It's kind of an odd way to do it.
Yeah, it's kind of how you used to stretch your partner out in gym class.
Oh, is that how you do it?
You know what I mean?
Oh, I know what you mean about stretching your partner out.
Feet to feet, and then you pull on each other's arms.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah. I took gym class.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I hated gym class.
I didn't mind it.
And they made you like dress out for gym class. And you had to change in front of everybody. And there were always showers in the locker room, but you never had time to take one.
Yeah, I know.
And I somehow always ended up with like an early morning gym class. So then I would be gross for the rest of the day. Like, thanks for that.
Nobody's gym should be at 9 or 10 in the morning.
Stupid. The man said, quote, "Give me everything you got." Brent surrendered his wallet and watch. Renee would later say she was shaking so badly that she could barely get the rings off her fingers. The gunman then pressed the pistol into Brent's forehead and fired. Nothing. It had misfired. He tried again. He rolled the gun over in his hand and ejected the cartridges. When the man asked Brent to give him one good reason not to kill, give me one good reason not to kill you, Brent replied, "Because I have a daughter and that I love very much."
Damn.
The man squeezed the trigger for the 4th time. In an instant, Brent was on his back. Though the shot had done severe damage already to Brent's skull, the man shot him a second time up close by the left ear. Kind of bent down and shot him again. Minutes earlier, Brent had been celebrating his 3rd wedding anniversary, and now he's dying on the beach.
It's terrible.
Terrible. And they always say nobody wakes up and thinks they're going to die that day. But this guy really didn't think that. I mean, he's just having a great day at the beach with his kid.
He's on vacation. He's having fun.
Yeah.
Feeling like he's maybe
making progress with his lady.
Getting his wife back, if you will, or, rekindling their relationship. Just had their 3rd anniversary. Yeah.
At 11:30 p.m., a Myrtle Beach police officer named Brown was policing the north end of Myrtle Beach when he was approached by a woman. She didn't seem to be in a hurry, but he could kind of tell just from the way she was walking and her gesture that she probably wanted to ask him a question. So he kind of, rolled the window down, and she says, "Someone just shot my husband," as she approaches the truck. Brown had suspected she was going to, ask him something, but this was an unexpected turn of events.
Right.
At the time, there were not many shootings and definitely not murders at Myrtle Beach.
No, it was still Myrtle Beach.
He thought Renee was experiencing shock because of her calm demeanor. I mean, at first he's like, "Are you for sure? Like, what's going on?" Because she was so very, very calm that he almost didn't believe her.
Right. You would expect some kind of hysterics, if you will.
Right.
Someone just shot. I mean, I would be out of my mind if someone had harmed you.
Well, the officer was not accustomed to finding dead bodies on the beach. I mean, sure, there was like an occasional robbery here or there, people preying on tourists, but they never ended in murder. The call for assistance came in at 11:51 p.m. The officer had Renee sit in the driver's seat of the truck as he tried to shield her in case the gunman was still around. Renee told the officer all she could remember is the man wearing all black, including a ski mask that was covering his face. He had robbed them and ran away. Of course, the officer has gone down, has seen Brent, has called in, called for help. One of the firemen called to the scene had been working for 13 years with the Myrtle Beach Fire Department. He could not remember a single time a suicide or homicide had ever been committed on the beach.
Oh, really?
Yeah, never on the beach. Brent was fighting for his life despite the 2 gunshot wounds to his head. Paramedics, believing Brent was viable, began performing life-saving measures. A breathing tube was inserted into his throat and an IV placed in his arm. With Brent's severe head trauma, these emergency workers knew he didn't need a paramedic, he needed a surgeon, like ASAP. To do chest compressions, Brent needed to be moved out of the sand and onto a hard surface. Keeping him breathing was key, and when they realized Brent had 2 gunshot wounds to the head, they began to grow more skeptical about his survival. In all likelihood, the young father would not make it. Brent was taken to the Grand Strand Regional Medical Center, where staff was anxiously awaiting their gunshot victim. The 1998 tourist season had been incredibly busy for the police department. In the beginning of the season, there was a Canadian American Days festival in which many a Canuck, showed up to Myrtle Beach. Then they had Bike Week, which saw over 2,000 bikers. Then in June, high school and college graduates flocked to the Grand Strand for Sun Fun Week, which was filled with beach games, music, beauty pageants, and parades. Homicide detectives Terry Altman and Jim Joyce joined the oncoming deputy detective Lynn Sloan on the scene. And by now, a crowd of looky-loos had started to crowd the area. Immediately, detectives noticed Renee sitting in the truck and that she did not seem upset.
So beyond just being in shock or surprised by the current events, they feel like she's not at all reacting the way that she should.
Right. Detective Altman was like, this is one of the first things he noticed was just her demeanor, behavior. He had been to, quite a few murder scenes in his day, had never seen, I guess, someone react this way at a homicide. And especially if they had watched someone pass.
Yeah.
Like watch the crime happen.
Well, yeah, to your husband.
They decided it was best to whisk her away to the station and get her to make a statement, like, pretty quick, right? We all know the first 48 to 72 hours are critical in solving a homicide. It had been proven that two-thirds of cases are solved in that period of time. And in order to solve this case in a timely manner, Myrtle Beach Police Department had a staggering amount of work to do. Since murders were pretty uncommon in 1998, everyone at the police department had been called out to work the scene. Crime scene technicians had their work cut out for them because the scene had already lost integrity. The more people who enter the scene, the more damage that's done. We all know that.
Yeah, and this is a tricky scene given the sand.
Yes.
Mud. I would say it's even worse than snow.
Sand, tourist spot.
Yeah.
People in and out
Public.
all day, every day.
Yeah, it's a hell of a scene to try to control and go through.
One advantage was that the murder had been committed in a very public place. Odds were in their favor that someone might have witnessed the event. And again, this is kind of before, I would say, like pre-security cameras or before every single business and home has some kind of camera.
Yeah, and that I would say, I'm guessing that was due mainly probably to cost, because cameras nowadays are just, they're very, and also people, I think, kind of had more reservations about cameras, you know what I mean? Maybe a little more concerns about privacy and things like that. But I say cost was probably the main barrier to them not being everywhere.
By 12:45 a.m., Renee sat down for an interview with Detective Joyce. Meanwhile, others had already begun feeling like something wasn't quite right about the scene. With Brent being shot twice and Renee escaping unscathed, it did not make sense for detectives.
It never works. Me and you were talking about this just a couple of days ago. Have I ever heard of a case where the wife or the husband or whoever, one of the couple is shot, attacked directly, it seems, and then the other one's either unscathed or very mildly harmed, a superficial wound,
like Jeffrey McDonald.
Yeah, and it's never have I ever seen a case where they truly were attacked by some random third party? I can't recall a single time.
Around 12:21 a.m., the emergency surgeon announced there was nothing else the trauma team could do. Brent Poole had expired. There were no exit wounds. An X-ray showed 2 bullets lodged in the brain. A number of bone fragments had been shattered upon impact and delicate tissues torn away. A peculiar detail that bothered detectives was that Renee, who had supposedly been ordered on the ground by the assailant, didn't seem to have any coordinating sand on her clothing. The only place she seemed to have sand was on her knees, and that was obtained when she returned to the crime scene with Officer Brown, and she had kneeled down next to her husband.
Right.
So it was on her knees, but like not on her back, not on her butt, not on the back of her legs.
Yeah, and if you're rolled or sat down in sand, man, it's almost impossible to get, all that off of you.
Yeah, there was no sand
In her hair or
right.
nothing.
Well, even in the law enforcement officer had put her in like a patrol, like a truck, and there was no sand in the truck. Not a grain of sand in this truck. I mean, it's very strange. There had been no reports on the credit card or debit cards from Brent's wallet, and in a robbery, usually the perp tries to access the cards as soon as possible, like within minutes.
Right, before
of
it gets
a
cut
robbery.
off.
Yeah. When law enforcement contacted Agnes Poole, she said, quote, "If my son is dead, you need to look at his wife."
Damn.
The Summies, upon hearing the news, offered to drive to Myrtle Beach to take their granddaughter Katie, who was still with this babysitter, like a strange babysitter at the beach.
So where did they find a random babysitter at a beach?
Guess you can go to the hotel and at this time and make it.
Maybe they got a service or something?
Make an arrangement, probably. It didn't take long for Bill Poole to contact investigators with the police department. In painful detail, he explained the marital problems between Brent and Renee. Renee had been seeing John Fraser, and the Pooles believed this man had something to do with the murder. Because John and Brent had gone at it a couple of times. Like, had back and forths, had kind of gotten into some physical altercations, kind of pushing each other around.
Well, and there's no surprise there. I mean, that's very common in situations like this.
Police in Winston-Salem were contacted and asked if they would reach out to John Fraser about his alibi. Detective Joyce already felt he was getting the runaround from Renee from the very first interview. She answered most questions, fluidly. But when he asked about the shooting specifically, she would stammer as if she was choosing her words carefully or like thinking about how to answer. And like she wasn't expecting certain questions to be asked, and it was like tripping her up.
Oh, okay.
She was unwilling to give up any detailed information about the affair with Fraser, which police thought was a red flag. She kept calling him her friend. He's just my friend from work. It wasn't that serious. We were just friends.
So that's her version of it, but then it sounds like multiple other parties are saying...
Oh, well, the in-laws are like, let us tell you the piping hot tea.
Right, because they know all the dirt.
Several detectives who interviewed Renee kind of over the course of the early morning hours agreed that she was non-emotional. Some of the statements seemed as if she was kind of making it up as she went along. Fraser was at home at 5:30 a.m. when police did a check at his residence. However, the officer in Winston-Salem failed to check the car in the driveway to feel if it had been running recently or if the engine was cold. After speaking with Brent's parents again, investigators had to sort through some hairy stuff. Renee's previous affair with Danny at Home Depot had lasted for 2 years, they learned. Even after she had moved back home with her husband, Renee was lying about her whereabouts, staying out for hours, and still seeing John Fraser. It was common knowledge among Renee and John's families that she had a problem with telling the truth. I'm sorry, I meant Brent's families. Renee and Brent's families. that she had this problem with telling the truth and that Renee often lied, Bill Poole said, quote, "I really don't think she knows what the truth is." I should also mention that Renee tells a female officer about how Brent's parents busted in on them having sex on prom night and that she thought that was hilarious. Seems weirdly inappropriate conversation to have when your husband's just been killed.
Yeah, I mean, and that was a long time,
and
a while ago. And
yeah, the prom, I mean, that's like 4 or 5 years ago. So what are you talking about? Like,
yeah, why are you talking about this now? And when
it's really immature.
When you have someone like this who lies all the time, as people put it, I think they get comfortable with changing the narrative to fit whatever benefits them, or that they can only see things through their own perspective. And if that means changing the facts, they don't even look at it as lying. It's like they're giving you their version of the truth. And as far as they're concerned, it's true.
Well, even Renee's parents had confirmed that it was really hard to get the truth out of her.
Yeah, you ever see someone that people say they believe their own bullshit?
Oh, yeah.
And it's true. I mean, I've been around these people. They tend to be narcissistic and things like that, and like to gaslight people or whatever. But they really don't, like I said, they don't see the truth and then their version of it and be like, I'm lying. They really believe their own bullshit. Whatever story they're weaving, they believe it. They take it as truth, and they're very hard people to deal with in some instances.
Yeah, those people are the worst.
You can't argue with them at all. That's for sure, because you're trying to make a point, a rational point, even if it's backed up with facts and things like that. It doesn't matter to these types of people.
Well, these are the kind of people that you should probably not have in your life.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
carve them
they're
out.
super difficult. 2 young men from Charlotte, North Carolina were the first witnesses to come forward. They had spotted Brent and Renee out on the beach and had also seen the man dressed in all black. He was described as being Caucasian, stocky, maybe about 5'10", with medium to long brown hair. A couple celebrating their wedding anniversary, they were from Virginia, had also decided to take a walk on the beach around 11 p.m. They noticed a man dressed in all black. He gave them a bit of an uneasy feeling, so they decided not to venture out further because they didn't want to go out on the beach while this guy was standing around.
Well, yeah, this guy's going to stand out because he has a jogging suit on, basically long sleeve.
Like, hey, I'm wearing a serial killer fit.
Yeah, I mean, he's all
I
black.
look like a robber. I'm a bandit.
Yeah, and it's hot out, but you're inappropriately dressed. I mean, I would notice that, and everyone's going to notice that.
Wearing my bandit hat.
Yeah, and I got my ski mask.
I mean, at the beach.
What the fuck?
Yeah. In the aftermath of this homicide, the Pooles pretty quickly let Renee know they didn't want to have anything to do with her. By now, they've made their way to Myrtle Beach. Her parents have made their way to Myrtle Beach. And the in-laws are just kind of like treating her pretty badly, ignoring her, scowling at her.
Well, it seems they have their opinions about what happened, and they feel strongly about them.
Pretty quickly, investigators learned that Brent had a $100,000 life insurance policy. Also, Mack Trucks, where Brent had been employed, had some kind of death benefit that was also considered to be, I guess, kind of lucrative. Or like a good, solid death benefit plan, if you will.
Yeah, most decent places are going to have, and you can get it for super like $1 a payday. Accidental death or dismemberment is what my insurance was called at the paper mill there. But anyway, you can get like 25, 50,000, just, and oftentimes you can have it doubled if you want to pay just a hint more.
Despite Renee playing out the whole grieving widow thing, her in-laws were just not buying it. When they tried asking Renee questions, she wouldn't even look them in the eye. Back in Mocksville, Renee called investigators with a tip. Now she suddenly remembered that her killer's voice sounded, quote, black.
Ah.
And of course, detectives were like, oh my God, not another Susan Smith. Because the Susan Smith case had just happened.
Really? Oh,
had pointed the fingers at, the assailant was an African-American man, and it started a lot of racial issues in the community. And it turns out, of course, she's a big fucking liar.
Yeah.
And here's Renee. It was a black man.
Yeah, I mean, that's just something you forget is the race of the person who killed your husband.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting. She really couldn't remember the race of the person because they were wearing a ski mask. But now all of a sudden she's back home, and it just dawns on her.
Yeah, and discount all the witnesses who saw a Caucasian male creeping around in the dark in a fucking all black with a ski mask, but it's a black guy.
Well, I don't trust Renee because you know what? She says the N word with the hard R.
Yeah, I know.
She done been kicked out of school for it.
Well, I'm saying if the cops knew that, they don't.
I don't believe her.
I don't trust her.
The NCSBI was brought in to assist with the case. Frazier was being interviewed at his home in Winston-Salem. Now, he did acknowledge ownership of a 9mm handgun and that he had previously owned a TZ-75 9mm, which is some kind of Italian handgun. But he could not remember who had purchased it from him.
Yeah, that gun's gone.
Yeah, I don't know who. Somebody bought it from me. I don't know who.
You don't remember who you sold a gun to.
No, I don't remember.
You just do it so much.
John insisted that he had been at home sick all weekend, taking NyQuil and sleeping. He had not been in Myrtle Beach. However, he didn't have an alibi because no one had seen him since, again, he was sick. John had already spoken to an attorney who told him to remove anything and everything from the house connected to Renee. And John had also removed the 9mm from the house. And police had no idea. Nobody knew where he hid it. Neighbors told investigators how Renee kept the company of men during the time her husband was on the clock. And remember, he worked second shift. A red car, then a black Blazer would be parked there until just before Brent returned home from work. And I should mention, it's a red Eagle Talon. Do you remember those?
I do.
That was like a sporty little hot car back in the day.
Yeah.
Mrs. Ballo, who was her neighbor, had overheard Renee on the phone with John and was disgusted to hear the mother put Katie on the phone to tell John, "I love you." She'd been teaching her daughter to tell her boyfriend, "I love you," while living in the house with her fucking husband, this little kid's daddy.
That's crazy.
Very crazy. So the Ballos, I mean, they seemed like they knew a lot about Renee and Brent's personal life. They were another kind of young couple as well. Renee had explained to the Ballos that she'd come back to Brent because, quote, he can afford me, and that a lawyer had advised her she needed to move back into the marital home. If she filed for divorce and lived elsewhere, it could hurt a custody case. So when she moved back in with him, she had already told the neighbors this information.
So it had nothing to do with trying to fix their relationship.
Renee also expressed her desire to work in a full nude bar, something that her husband didn't want. He had encouraged her to find a regular job before they'd gone on their trip. We're trying to make lifestyle changes. We're trying to rededicate ourselves. I don't think working in the strip club is good for you, good for our marriage. So now she wants to go full nude.
Well, that way, that'll really improve their relationship.
Yeah, I know. There's one thing about it, Dylan.
Less clothes make things better.
A labia in a man's face, in a woman's face at a strip club, it's really classy.
I gotta say
that shove this big old bush in your face so you can give me $1.
I don't know what's wrong, if something's wrong with me, but that does not appeal to me in the least bit.
I don't want to go to a bottomless or all nude strip club because I don't want to see anybody's vagina. I don't want to see their butthole. I don't want to see a man's balls sagging.
Are you sure?
I don't want to see his pelt of fur, right? I don't want to see his hairy, pimply ass.
You're going to see all that later because I'm not wearing clothes the rest of the evening. Now, look, I got to say, it's just weird. The whole idea, the whole concept of a woman, and I know and this is not to downplay sex workers or people who are in the industry, but the whole system, the whole situation weirds me out. You know what I mean?
I know.
It's the fakeness. It's the, you were, sitting on that guy over there talking to him, trying to drum up a dance or whatever.
Well, it's like this.
And then you come straight over here to me and like now, but I mean, hey, if you sit on one guy's lap, and you sit on mine, we might as well be sitting in that guy's, it's like they told us when we were kids, right? If you have sex with that person, you're having sex with every person they've ever had sex with, kind of thing. I don't know. It just gross. It's gross for me. I never. And hey, I can notice an attractive woman and be like, hey, there's her boobs. That's great. But it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I notice you noticing.
No, I'm just saying. It's I don't know. There's something about it. It's kind of weirds me out. The whole situation, everything about it.
Well, I've known quite a few people who say that. Men and women who are like, not really into it. So the investigation has kind of moved more to North Carolina. We've got the state of South Carolina working with the state of North Carolina. We've got local police departments working together. So multiple agencies are now involved in this case. Renee was interviewed again by detectives while she's back home. And this time she's Mirandized and she's brought an attorney. But it's not a criminal attorney. It's an attorney that her sister had used in a divorce.
Okay.
So this is a guy who's probably more familiar with like civil.
Right.
And family court.
And custody and things like that.
Right. So maybe not the best choice to bring in a criminal matter, and especially like in a homicide case, right?
Well, it's not their area of expertise, and criminal's obviously quite different than some other areas of law. But I guess this is better than no lawyer with you?
I don't think it is, because the lawyer basically tells her like, oh, no, go ahead and talk to him.
What?
Like, just go ahead. Like, he encourages her to tell everything she knows.
Oh, see, this is the opposite.
So that's why I'm like, I don't think this guy was the best choice, because instead of telling his client, like, shut the fuck up and don't say a thing.
Which is the first thing a criminal lawyer tells you.
No, you lay all your cards on the table, sis.
Yeah, just they're not out to get you.
So after denying John's role in the murder repeatedly, she kept saying, I don't know. It couldn't have been him. He didn't know we were going to Myrtle Beach.
Right.
There's no way it could have been John Fraser, my lover.
It was a black guy.
It was a black guy, possibly, with white skin. He was a albino.
Yes, an albino black guy.
Yeah.
Criminal.
Yeah. He had a red mullet. I mean, come on.
He had red hair. And I know that you guys aren't going to believe me that he's an albino redheaded black guy. But all I know is the truth.
That's actually in a movie, and it's really funny.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's called I don't know. It's something guy, and it's got Jason Lee in it.
Is it the new guy?
No.
Okay.
He's like engaged. Here we go, talking about movies again. He's engaged. He like sort of accidentally, or maybe not so accidentally, like cheats on his fiance, or he thinks he did. And then the girl he cheats with, or kind of has this thing with, previously dated a cop who's psycho and is stalking her. And so the cop like beats the shit out of him. And then he makes up a story because his fiance is like, you need to go press charges about this ridiculous looking, like,
impossible
this
person.
really light-skinned black dude, and he had orange hair and like braces on his teeth, and he was cross-eyed. Like, he gives this crazy description, and then they bring a guy in who looks exactly like that, and he's like, no, that's not him. And police are just like, what the fuck?
How can it not be him?
I can't think of the movie. It came out like in the 2010s.
Okay, I get it. That's funny though.
It's a dumb movie, but that part is hilarious.
Right.
Especially when the detectives are just like, what the fuck?
Because they just knew they had the guy.
Yes. Because it was so outrageous, Dylan. So she just keeps on and on, like, it's not John. He didn't do it. I don't know who it was. Whatever. She finally says to law enforcement, it was him.
It was John?
It was him.
Oh,
Yeah.
She cracked.
It was him. John Fraser had murdered Brent Poole, according to Renee. She said that she didn't conspire with John to murder her husband, that she had no idea how he had learned of this beach trip. So he must have just taken it upon himself to follow her to the beach and kill her husband.
Well, he's a computer guy, What can he not learn?
And he's also a white-black guy.
Well,
After this admission, warrants were drawn up for Renee and John Fraser. On June 13th, Winston-Salem police aided Myrtle Beach Police Department in arresting the pair. John was located that evening as he sat down for a steak dinner at his parents' house, and he was arrested. Detectives were actually surprised that John had this kind of hold over Renee. They had imagined him to be like this very suave, debonair kind of guy, and instead He was this overweight man with a baby face and thinning hair.
Oh.
Like not
Not what they pictured.
Not what they pictured. So they were kind of like, it's this guy?
He's kind of gross looking.
Well,
I mean, I don't know.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, Dylan. And I have to say, Brent Poole had a fucking phenomenal mullet.
He did.
And I don't know how you could disrespect a mullet like that.
And, you know,
if I was married to that mullet, I would be so faithful.
And you said he had a hog too, right?
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess he was well endowed. The rumor has it.
Rumor has it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. At the wake, many were reluctant to embrace Renee. The funeral home filled with mostly friends of the Poole family and people from church. Renee was shunned. There was a big kind of board where people had posted pictures of Brent, and her in-laws had left her out of every photo. Like, there were no photos of her with her husband.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. How awkward for everyone there to kind of have suspicions of you, but you're still there at the funeral.
Marie, her mother, Renee's mother, volunteered to police. Quote, sometimes in order to get Renee to tell the truth, you have to get down on her pretty hard. When she was a child, that was the only way I could get her to tell me the truth.
Okay.
It is at this wake that Renee is arrested.
Really?
They take her away in cuffs at the damn funeral home.
Well, you look.
In front of God and everybody.
They obviously could have done that at a different time. Arrested her. They knew where she was and what she was doing.
They were making a point.
But that was, I was going to say, that was done to make a point.
Very theatrical. Right?
Yeah.
After her arrest, Renee signed a waiver of her rights and agreed to make a statement without a lawyer, which is probably good because the first lawyer didn't really help her out. As the interviewing detective cracked down hard on Renee, like her mama told him to do, she finally admitted that John had brought up the idea of murder to her and he had taped the conversation, which he threatened to use against her if she ever turned on him.
That makes total sense if you think about it.
It does, and she's got a really good way of like separating herself from misdeeds or, like I said, anything maybe that she finds embarrassing or hard to talk about. She's always like somehow the victim of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Renee claimed it had been some days since she had spoken to John and that he had made a statement to her that he was going to get Renee and Brent a big anniversary present.
Oh.
Then he said, quote, where do you want it to happen? Of course, she didn't think anything about this statement. It wasn't weird.
He must be talking about the delivery.
Where am I going to give you this big present,
of
Renee?
the present.
Like every other criminal in the book, Renee tried to blame someone else, John Fraser. After a final hard push, Renee admitted that she had actually planned the murder, but John had pushed her into it. John had coerced Renee into the murder, then threatened her that he would take care of her if she told. He would do the same thing to her, that kind of thing.
Right. She was afraid.
Renee's job was to bring the bait, Brent, to the hunter, John. She confessed John knew about the beach trip, and it was her job to get Brent out on the beach, but they had planned maybe like 2 or 3 in the morning. Renee was extradited to Horry County. A search of Renee's home was fruitful as detectives seized micro, cassette tapes, floppy disks, a CD-ROM, which, a what? It's been so long, and a desktop computer. At John's home, investigators were not surprised to find an array of pornographic materials, including a Sony 8mm camcorder set up facing the bed. What is it with Renee making sex tapes?
I don't know.
We've heard about her making like 3 sex tapes.
She's got more than Kim Kardashian.
Yes. She should go into porn. She should be like an amateur. I mean, it seems like that's what she wants.
Right. Maybe that's part of her thing. She's into that.
Equipment stolen from Champion Products, where John was employed, was also recovered from the home. A system worth $8,500.
Damn.
Like he'd stolen like an Apple computer system, all these graphic and like design programs that were really expensive.
Gosh, that value back then.
John also had a history of domestic violence, with one ex-girlfriend stating he'd beaten her on several occasions, including pointing a gun at her. He'd been given court-ordered counseling, but after 3 months, he was kicked out of that program. Because apparently he's got a really bad temper. Multiple eyewitnesses from that night placed John Fraser at the scene through photographic lineup. John's attorney told reporters that his client was innocent, and he was only arrested based on statements by, quote, an established schemer and liar.
Damn, shots fired.
Law enforcement was still searching for physical evidence to tie John Fraser to the murder. John had hinted to some friends from the Silver Fox that he needed an alibi, and they took that to mean like he wanted them to lie to police. But instead of doing that, they actually went to the police and were like, he seems to be fishing for an alibi.
Damn, didn't work out like you thought.
Now, the time frame is a little tricky. It is about a 4.5, 5-hour drive from Myrtle Beach to Winston-Salem, where he lived. But there was enough time. He could have gotten from the beach back home before the detective showed up. Like if he drove, whatever.
They made contact right at like the 6-hour mark.
Probably around that, yeah.
So it's possible for him to have done it. He would have had a driven straight home, no problems, not got caught up in traffic or anything like that. It would have been tight, but possible, right?
Right. Not impossible. Several emails were discovered between John and Renee and Brent. In one of them, John had threatened, quote, do not cross me, Renee. In another email to a friend, John wrote, quote, I was trying to get Renee to show up somewhere pre-planned with him, but she wouldn't do it. She's afraid I'll kill him just for the hell of it. This email goes on to say that John has guns, which he started keeping on him now.
That's right.
Another of Renee's lovers, it's hard to keep up.
Is this Danny the Wood guy?
No, this is actually another dude she worked with at Home Depot. His name is Robert Cummings.
Oh, he's in plumbing. He knows all about laying pipe.
Robert Cummings had also contacted police to make sure that he was not a suspect. This random guy just calls him up like, hey, I was having sex with Renee. Am I a suspect?
Oh, his name's Robert Cummings?
Yeah, and police were like, who are you? He often parked his Red Eagle Talon in the pool driveway for hours on end while Brent was working second shift. He had stopped seeing Renee 3 weeks before the murder. After he broke it off, he said Renee showed up at his house telling him she was leaving Brent. And he called her kind of like she's kind of crazy. Like she showed up at my house. She's saying, you know.
She's in the bushes.
Like she's trying to keep me on the hook or get back together with me kind of thing. But she's dating John. And she's at home with her husband. So it's like, what are you doing here?
Maybe she's a sex addict.
I think she is. I think she has got some sex addiction issues. And all of this chaos kind of going on back and forth between these two families. And let's be honest, I mean, they're both hurting.
Right.
They've both lost someone, a very important person in their lives. The in-laws and the family, his parents. I know it's trying for everyone involved, but the situation did not get any better. At some point, Dee, who is Brent's sister, had gone over to the Summey's house and ended up getting into a physical altercation with Marie, Renee's mom.
Oh, really?
Marie pressed charges. I mean, the two families were just now completely at odds. They have no love for each other. Renee's trial began on November 8th of 1999 in Conway, South Carolina, with Court TV having dubbed the case the Love Triangle Murder.
Ooh, okay.
It was announced that the prosecution would drop the death penalty against her. Renee's family saw this as a good sign, believing the case against her was weak. So because they dropped the death penalty, that must mean they don't have a very strong case. I don't think so.
No, well, this is common in when the perpetrator's female. It's hard to get. Historically, it's been hard to get juries to find a woman for the death penalty. So that doesn't surprise me. But let's be honest, they don't have that strong of a case.
Let's get into that, Dylan. The state believed it had enough physical and circumstantial evidence to weave a strong case against Renee and John. The prosecution had 29 witnesses presented over the span of 6 days. Of those, most were professional people and employed by law enforcement agencies. The defense had 10 witnesses, only 2 of whom were expert witnesses. The rest were all Renee's friends and family. You know, if you've got a bunch of like expert witnesses and people who are on the prosecution side that are experienced and knowledgeable, and then here you are and you've just got like your neighbor from when you was a kid on the stand, like, she's a good girl, it's probably not going to go that well for you, right?
No, and I'm sure that comes down to finances and money to a degree as far as the experts go and things like that. No, that can hurt you because I think people are going to, for the most part, and I think this was actually a really big deal in the Karen Reed trial, is people who are going to kind of trust law enforcement and officials speaking in official capacities. But when that cop or that trooper, state police, trashed Karen so badly, and they had the texts and things of him talking very horribly about her and calling her a bitch and all this, that really tanked that case. Even after they had a retrial, multiple retrials without him involved, people still, you couldn't unring that bell, right? It tainted the whole thing. So I think unless something short of that, that's definitely going to give some weight to the prosecution's case, to have all these officials and people in law enforcement, because a lot of people, especially older people who you tend to find on juries and jury pools, have this inherent trust for the system.
Of the evidence, property that was allegedly stolen by the robber/killer was found at the crime scene, like rings worn by Renee.
Really?
That she had taken off and given to the robber were actually found in the sand at the crime scene.
Found in the sand at the crime scene?
Yeah, and it almost like somebody had tried to cover them up with sand.
Oh, okay.
So she had maybe tried to bury the rings in the sand, saying they were stolen.
And then she could recover them later or something?
The prosecution contended there had been no robbery at all, and Renee had staged it to look so. That's why rings were found discarded in the sand, again at this crime scene. 75-year-old Howard Surlis had been visiting Myrtle Beach when he discovered Brent's wallet in his yard. It appeared the robber had tossed the wallet over the fence, kind of right into this guy's yard after the murder. The state offered up this as evidence that robbery was never the true motive, because it had cash, credit cards.
Nobody even went through it.
Nobody had even gone through this wallet.
Because it's not uncommon to toss the wallet or purse, but they've usually been pilfered through.
Nope, nothing. And actually, it was kind of cute. The gentleman, when he testified, talking about this wallet, and he's like, when I opened it, it had like $50, which Renee would later say, well, that was to pay the babysitter, and had credit cards and whatever in it. And he's like, I was thinking about just mailing it back to North Carolina to this owner, unless it had like $8,000 in it. And of course, the courtroom kind of got a good chuckle out of that. A renowned pathologist testified, due to the nature of Brent's wounds, that he was not lying on the ground, as Renee had said. He had been shot standing up. The doctor also testified if a person had touched Brent's wounds, they would have been covered in blood. They would have had blood on their person. Renee had no blood on her clothing, which disputed the fact she had tried to help her husband.
Right.
As she had claimed. Renee had mentioned the fact that she would get a $100,000 life insurance policy, as well as benefits from his employer, Mack Trucks. Prosecution believed that money could be the big motive here. 148 pages of interview transcripts were handed over as evidence. The audio recordings laid out the eerie scenario for how she had set up her husband's murder. And it's pretty hard to walk a jury back from that. From a person's own words, an admission, a confession.
Unless there's video of the cops just going balls to the wall, over the top, some 21-hour interview. And
well, of course, that's what her attorney said.
Well, no, I'm saying if you can prove that, or even prove the idea of that possibility, you can walk back from a confession. But short of that, just the perpetrator recanting after they've had time to think about it, that usually doesn't work.
Well, I should also mention before we get into the rest of this, the defense attorney, Renee's defense attorney, had tried to point out, well, the cops lied to her.
Right.
They told her John had already given her up, and that's why she confessed. But they're allowed to do that. That's not illegal. I mean, that's a tactic that works.
Yeah, they're allowed to do that. And just because someone lies to me or says something that I know for a fact's not true, it's not going to make me confess.
A dancer testified that Renee wanted to divorce Brent, but money was holding her back. No matter how hard the defense tried to dig in, there was simply no getting around Renee's confession that she conspired with John Fraser to commit murder. In the end, the jury found Renee guilty of murder and criminal conspiracy. She was sentenced to life in prison plus 5 years for the conspiracy conviction.
Damn.
Though there was no physical evidence to connect John Fraser to the murder of Brent Poole, the state argued that circumstantial evidence is just as good as physical evidence if it comes together properly. I agree with that.
Well, when there's a ton of circumstantial evidence, I mean, at a certain point, it's not a coincidence.
When Renee was brought to the stand to testify against Fraser, she stated she did not wish to testify and invoked the Fifth Amendment.
Well, I mean, at this point, what's there for her to gain out of it? So I could see her being disinterested in the truth or the memory of her husband. If she's not gaining from it, she doesn't want to take part of it.
Dee Mishler, Brent's sister, said, quote, "She never ceases to amaze me. John Fraser still comes first with her instead of her daughter Katie." John's alibi that he'd been talking on the phone with a friend, Thomas Peterson, on the evening that Brent was killed. So he just goes ahead and remember he had asked a friend to lie for him? Well, he just goes ahead and makes up this alibi.
Okay.
Right? And then that's what he's told everybody. Well, Peterson testified, I didn't speak to him all day. So there blows up John's alibi, plus the testimony that he'd try to get us to lie for him.
He was kind of shopping for an alibi.
John Fraser's Blazer had been seen at the Poole home until the day they had left for the trip. So up until the day she's leaving for this trip, she is still seeing him. He's still coming over and parking his damn vehicle in her driveway.
Laying up with someone, having them around your child while your spouse is at work, working a long shift,
cheesy,
is about one of the most horrible, shitty things you can do. Having them inside their home, even in their bed, it is just, I don't know. It's about as low can get.
John Fraser had also requested 3 days off from work during the time Brent and Renee would be at Myrtle Beach. Fraser had also borrowed a friend's car that weekend without any reason. It was an Acura that was in the driveway and that he had that weekend. His Blazer was with the friend.
Okay.
So that's odd, right?
Yeah.
He asked for this time off. He's claiming, well, I was sick. That's why I took the time off. But investigators discovered a calendar inside John's home during a search that had circled the dates that Brent and Renee were going to be at the beach. And it said Brent and Renee on it.
Come on, dude. I was about to say, well, you could say that could be anything, but...
Come on.
it's Brent and Renee.
The people sentenced 30-year-old Fraser to life in prison for the murder conviction, 30 years for the armed robbery charge, and 5 for conspiracy. He appealed and was given another shot at trial in May of 2005. Renee tried to appeal her case. It went all the way up to the South Carolina Supreme Court and has been denied.
Oh.
So she's pretty much exhausted her appeals.
I like how they hit him with armed robbery, even though it was a fake robbery just to kill the man. Oh, I like that.
Renee serves out her life sentence at Leith Correctional Institute in Greenwood, South Carolina. She still maintains she's the victim of wrongful conviction. And she does have some supporters out there. There's a website called freekimberly.com, but it looks like around 2018 her supporters kind of gave up.
Oh, yeah?
It hadn't been updated since.
Okay.
That was around the time her last appeal got shot down.
Well, I mean, what do you think about it? You think they got the right perpetrators there?
Yes.
I think it seems pretty obvious.
John Fraser, as of today, is at the Livesay Correctional Institute, which is in Spartanburg, South Carolina. He's projected to be released from prison in October of 2029.
Damn.
Today, my resources are Dance of Death by Dale Hudson, news articles from the time, an episode of Accomplice to Murder with Vinnie Politan. I guess it aired in 2023. And a snapped episode from 2009.
Man, we was talking earlier. Some of those little 30-minute true crime shows, man, they can be bad in great ways. Some of the reenactments and things like that, but just also the I don't know. Some of them they're just fast and loose with the facts. You know what I mean? And I understand they only got so much time by the time you put in a few commercial breaks, but some of them are just terribly put together.
They are. Yeah. I always get tickled.
It's pretty funny.
I'm like, this is really bad.
This is really bad.
I like the reenactments, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like if you're an actor and you are cast in one of these true crime like reenactments, that has to make you feel like this is my moment.
Well, you can tell the ones who are just like maybe just some, like I act on the side as for fun, or the people who think this
Take
is
it really seriously.
This is it, and they take it so seriously, and they really try to sell it like being like the psycho, hiding out in the woods or whatever.
I'll have you know I performed in Shakespeare's theater.
I was on an episode of Snapped.
Okay. Bye, Dylan.
Bye.